The latest on the Ebola outbreak now, and relief for the family of a 5-year-old boy.
Once feared to have Ebola, he tested negative for the virus. CBS 2's Janelle Burrell joins us live from Bellevue Hospital with more. Janelle.
Well, Chris, that little boy will be waking up here at Bellevue once again, where he will remain in isolation until further testing will be done. Meanwhile, this morning we're hearing once again from that nurse who was released from quarantine in New Jersey yesterday. This morning, she is defying officials in her own home state. Kaci Hickox back home in Maine this morning. The nurse whisked away from University Hospital Monday after her nearly 4-day tent quarantine. But now lawyers for the 33-year-old say she's rejecting Maine's requirement for her to stay isolated and will only remain in seclusion for the next day or so.
Asymptomatic people are not infectious.
Hickox extremely vocal about her treatment since returning to the U.S. from Sierra Leone, where she helped treat Ebola patients. Despite testing negative for the virus, New Jersey officials held her against her will in conditions she described as inhumane.
No matter what you do, there will be critics, and you don't worry about that. You worry about doing what's right for the people you represent.
Her isolation was part of a mandatory 21-day quarantine imposed by Governors Christie and Cuomo for anyone arriving from West Africa who came in contact with Ebola patients, even if they show no symptoms. Connecticut's governor adopted the same rules on Monday.
I would rather be in this situation a little overcautious. And I think all New Yorkers feel the same way. You don't want to make a mistake with this.
The quick response comes as the CDC announced new safety guidelines, which increase the level of protection by outlining 4 different levels of exposure: high risk, some risk, low but not zero, and no identified risk. Meanwhile, the team at Bellevue put their Ebola safety plan into practice once again. This 5-year-old boy, wrapped in protective gear, was rushed to the hospital Sunday with a 103-degree fever after returning from Guinea. Doctors confirmed Monday night his tests for Ebola were negative. But for now, he'll remain in isolation until further testing is done.
Everything has been handled, again, according to protocol.
Now, as for those new CDC guidelines, they have also outlined the various actions that can be taken depending on the level of exposure to Ebola, ranging from voluntary home quarantine to self-monitoring. Now, as for back here at Bellevue, the first New York patient, Dr. Craig Spencer, this morning, he remains in serious but stable condition. We're live this morning outside of Bellevue Hospital. Janelle Burrell, CBS 2 News.